I'm assuming I don't have to. Hello, and welcome to Bobcat Chats. Today's chat will focus on you, our viewers, and about making sure you're ready and excited for your Bobcat Student Orientation. My name is Wendy Merb-Brown, and I serve as the Assistant Dean in University College for first-year students and students in transition. And I cannot tell you how excited we are to have you coming into the space to ask us questions, and we're looking forward to having you participate in our orientation experience with us. I love Ohio University. I have been here since I started graduate school in 1989, and I never left. And the reason I love it so much is because of the people. I, every day, get to interact with someone who I know, but also someone new. And oftentimes those new people are students, and students just like you. And so I'm excited to have that happen again. When you come to campus, you bring vitality, you bring energy, you bring experiences and knowledge. And you probably tell by looking at me, I am not your typical college-age student. I've been around a while, and there are some things that you know that I don't know, and I want to learn from you. So that connection that we have as people and with each other is what makes Ohio so special. We care, and I hope you see that and know that through this orientation experience. So I'm first going to introduce Sara Hall, who is one of our orientation leaders. Sara, take it away.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Sara Hall. I'm a recent 2020 graduate from Ohio University. During my undergrad, I studied sociology and women's gender sexuality studies with a minor in communication studies, so I kept myself pretty busy. In orientation, I serve as the orientation coordinator for student programs, so you'll see me a lot when you come for your session during orientation. I love Ohio University because of the community that not only includes the Athens community members, but all the students as well. We really are a big Bobcat family. I love taking advantage of all the opportunities throughout the community and the local events and things like that. I especially love Athens during the springtime. I was still able to spend some of the spring here to go see like the cherry blossoms along the river and all of the fun things in the community as well. But yeah, I'm excited to talk to you all today.
So thank you, Sara. It's good to have you with us. Vincent, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vincent Prior, and I'm the Director of Undergraduate Orientation Programs at Ohio University. And I'm really excited to be here with all of you. I joined Ohio University about a year and a half ago, sometime last year, right before our orientation season. And since then, one of the things that has continued to surprise me and be one of my favorite parts of Ohio University is just how welcoming our institution is. And we will continue to be that way in our orientation experience, even though it will be a virtual online experience this summer. So I'm excited to be here today to share with you some of the things that you might be questioning or concerned about in that experience, but to also remind you that our community is very welcoming and excited to welcome you into what Sara described as the Bobcat family. Because as a recent addition within the past year and a half, I definitely appreciate that as part of my experience as a staff member here. And I can't wait to share that with all of you as new students joining the family with us in the fall.
Thank you, Vincent. Our last panelist today, or someone to ask questions of, is Kris Kumfer. Kris, please tell us about yourself.
Hello, my name is Kris Kumfer, and I'm the Director of Learning Community Programs, and I am a two-time alum of Ohio University. My first year, over 25 years ago at this point, the friendships that I think about that first year experience, and I think about my orientation experience, even though it was a few decades ago, the friends that I made, the people that I met during orientation, students and friends that I made throughout the year, faculty connections, whether it was someone that I had a class with or someone that I was connected to as an advisor, I'm still connected to those individuals today. And that's a pretty powerful thing when you hear about us talk about that Bobcat family. Those connections are very special and unique, and I enjoy every single one of them, and I build them every day, and I'm looking forward to you as new students and meeting you and learning from you.
Thank you. So we have lots of things that are going on, and one of the things that we want you to understand is the importance of orientation. I think you're hearing that through the introductions that we just gave with our friends here. Orientation is a time for you to learn, It's a time for you to experience and to be exposed to a lot of information. We want you to take that as it comes, and we have planned it intentionally. So when you have questions, you're going to hear us say that a lot. Please ask those. We have a setup made. The orientation schedule itself, even though it's in a virtual environment, is designed for you to be involved in every aspect you need. Even as if you were here on campus, you're going to do that in your home and the place that you choose. So we've been very purposeful in that regard. But orientation itself, again, it's a chance to ask questions and learn about what you're going to expect. It's an opportunity to have some interactions with other people, and you're going to have those with your peers especially. And so you can interact and talk with people who are just like you, or maybe they're a year ahead of you, but they're not that far off. So you can ask those questions, and no question is a dumb question. If you have it, we can guarantee you there's someone else in that space that's also thinking that question. They just might not have asked it. So we want you to have that. And your advisors are also going to be an integral part of this orientation experience. They're going to help you do a lot of different things, but they're going to give you some insight into your academic program and your college. And that is important. One thing I want to tell you a little bit is that oftentimes our new students don't understand university setup or what that means. So I want to take a second to tell you what a university is versus a college and a program. So a lot of people, we often say, oh, I'm going to college. And that's a general term we use for that. But actually, you're going to a university. And a university is made up of colleges. So you think of like a big umbrella, and you've got the big umbrella as the university. And the university is made up of grouping of colleges. So we have about 8 or 9, I can't, I always forget the exact number, but anyway, we have a group of colleges. And then within a college, you're within an academic program or department. And then within the academic program or department, we have majors, so it's layers. So you've been admitted to Ohio University within an academic major or program of study, which lives within a department, which lives within a college, within the university. So when we see you and when you talk today or through this time in orientation that you're going to have, remember that you're admitted into a college, and that's really important. Now, why we think universities are really a great benefit for you is that you get to take classes in areas that you may not have been exposed to if you were just going to a college or to one program of study. Because for university, we have over 250 some majors. There are courses that you can take to explore things that you're interested in and just even might think about taking or exploring. And then you have some other courses that give you an opportunity that maybe those are things you have to take, that they fit your major requirements so they're in a lockstep. Well, take advantage of that exploration. And hopefully you've learned about our general education program a little bit and the breadth of knowledge. And so taking courses in a university gives you that chance to do that. So before we get started into some of the other, we do have some questions for you, but please ask your questions. You're in a platform right now that we are monitoring any question that you might ask. So if you ask that question, it'll pop up for me, and then I'll ask the team. We do have a couple of set questions, though. So let's go ahead and just, since we don't have a question from our audience yet, let's go ahead and just start into those. What do you think, team? Sounds like a plan? All right, we're going to do it. Okay, so this sounds like a really good one for Vincent. So Vincent, if a student had a question, what do I need to do before orientation? How would you answer?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And I do want to acknowledge something about our orientation philosophy here that I think kind of ties into this. So one of the things that we want you to be aware of is that we understand that orientation is a process that you're going to go through, and it's going to start right now as you're preparing for that program that we have in June, right? So our orientation process is going to begin with you taking some steps to prepare. The first one that comes to mind for me is your pre-orientation modules. So those are on our website. If you've already signed up for the program, your next best thing to do is to go to our orientation website, which is ohio.edu/orientation. Pretty easy to find us. And there is a page for you to prepare. There's a lot of steps to take, but the biggest one that comes to mind is completing those pre-orientation modules. Those modules present basic information to get you set up for what systems we will use during our program, how to register for classes, some of the basic information about resources and platforms that you need to know, just to prepare you, to give you an insight into what things will look like. And we'll talk more in depth about that in the orientation experience in June. The next big thing that comes to mind is your placement test. So as we're focusing on this orientation process, the thing that we identified most crucially to happen in June is that course registration and advising component. We know that you want to have a schedule for the fall, and we want to make sure that you're set up with that and have all of your academic questions answered. So one of the key ways that we get that done for you is we have you take placement tests to make sure you're in the appropriate course schedule when you come to orientation. Our website has a section for placement tests, and it outlines which tests are required for which majors. So you would want to go there and find your major to determine which placement tests you have. But there are a couple of different placement options. Most students are going to be looking at taking chemistry or math. We have language placement tests, computer science placement tests, and music theory. And the majors that are identified that need those placement tests are on the website, but it is really important for you to do those before you come to orientation so that we have that set up for your advisors to get you into the appropriate classes. So those are the two biggest components. I said the preparing website has a lot of steps for you to go through, but the biggest ones to complete before you come to the orientation are those two, making sure those modules are done and you've completed your placement tests.
I'm going to do a follow-up with that a little bit because sometimes we have people concerned about placement tests, that they think they have to perform at a certain level. And we want to make sure you know that that's not what this is about. You're not being tested on your ability and to some like a test that's going to count in a bad way, or you shouldn't feel anxious about it. What it is we want to know where to start you so that the courses you take are at the level you need. We all have different experiences and different courses and different high school coursework. And so some courses are some people are advanced in some areas. And so taking a placement test tells them they start at a higher level maybe. But then there's some of us that maybe we didn't get as strong of a background. So taking a lower level will get us prepared in a way that we can be successful. What you do not want to do is take a class at a too high of a level that you're not prepared for, and then you aren't going to succeed as the way that we want you to succeed. You might struggle a little bit. We hope you don't, but you might. We don't want that. We want you to start where you need to be so that you get through the level you need to have. So please don't be anxious about when we say a placement test, that it's something that you have to really be all prepared for. Take it. You don't have to even study for it. Just take it. See where you are, because that's going to tell you where to go next. Okay, so a little thing about placement tests there. All right, so Vincent, another question. Where does a student go to log in to their sessions they're going to? Can you tell a little bit about that whole intake process?
Absolutely. So right before your session happens in June, so about 3 days before, you'll receive an email from our office with a link to a virtual check-in process, which requires you to fill out some basic information that we would provide to your advisors so that we're set up for you when your program in June happens. That check-in process will give us some information on our end to provide you with a personalized schedule based on what major you're in and who you need to meet with for your academic advising and course registration processes. So that personalized schedule will actually come to your OU email on the morning of your program. And I should back up, that check-in form will also come to your OU email. So hopefully through those pre-orientation modules, you're setting that up and checking that. But that's where that first check-in process element will go, your Ohio University email. And once you fill out that form, we will take care of the rest. So you'll get an email that confirms you've checked in and tells you where to go for your next session, for the first session of your program on the day that you've signed up for. That session, those sessions that we do on the day of the program will all happen in Microsoft Teams. So we do recommend that students download the platform from Microsoft Teams. You can download the software. We have some information on our website about where to go to download that team software, and then we would have you kind of access the meetings through there. But you won't get your personalized schedule for the event until the day of the program. And throughout this experience, we are expecting that everyone who participates has a laptop or a computer and internet connection. So that does have the best functionality. So for anyone who maybe doesn't have the best technology to connect for that platform, just make sure that you reach out to our office and we will provide you with some alternate methods for this. But ideally, you would have a computer with an internet connection, and that's all you really need to set up the program and walk through the actual virtual sessions.
So we have some questions asked of us now, so we're going to go ahead and read that. This is from Jennifer on Facebook. Should a student come to orientation with an idea of what classes he wants to take, or will his advisor know what he needs to take? So why don't we go ahead and go to Kris on that one?
That's an excellent question, Jennifer. And I would say the answer would be both. I think to come to orientation with an idea of things, whether it's classes or areas of content, if you have interests, curiosities, things you want to know more about, I can tell you your advisor will love it. They'll also be able to give you, the more you share what you're curious about, what you have questions on, whether it's, like we said, classes, content, they'll be able to give you advice. What Vincent was sharing a moment ago with placement tests, your advisor will be able to help connect the dots with what placement levels you might need for certain courses, because we want you to be successful in your first term. And sometimes jumping into a course program is important right away. Sometimes it's better to do after a subsequent course. So definitely have those handy. Write them down on a list of things you want to make sure to ask about during your advising session, because it will be that personalized appointment time, like Vincent was saying, on your schedule, where you'll be able to ask those questions because we love questions.
And your advisor, and you answer the second part of your question there, yes, your advisor, depending on what your major of study, they're going to have suggestions for you. So don't feel like you have to have every answer or everything written down, but being prepared does help. So good point. Okay, this is another question from Sydney on YouTube. Will us students be using any aspects of orientation because of having to do it virtually? Any aspects of orientation because of having to do it virtually? What kind of information should I expect to learn through orientation? Sara, you want to go ahead and try that one?
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good question too. So I don't think that you'll be losing any aspects of orientation because you're still going to be connected to not only orientation leaders who are current students to offer their various experiences, but you're going to be connected to other students within your major and your academic college as well. You'll do this through your small group sessions with your faculty members in your college as well as your orientation leaders. You'll do a bunch of fun activities. I'm making a full list of virtual icebreakers, so get ready to have some fun with that. And during orientation with all the icebreakers and getting to know your orientation leaders and your other people in your group, you're going to be learning everything about your academic requirements, things on campus that you can get involved in, so student organizations. You're going to be learning about like wellness, things like that. It's a really extensive list, so I won't go through it, but if you have any questions, your orientation leaders are going to be able to answer them for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So from Barbie on YouTube, I am looking into the placement testing, but I'm a bit confused on this. Am I correct that an ACT score of 30 to 36 means that I would not need to take a math placement test? Vincent, are you able to help us with that one?
Not having the placement levels in front of me, I don't want to say yes or no to that. But if you do place into the highest level of math placement, so if you are a PL3, placement level 3, then you would not need to take the math placement because that is the highest level. And so you don't need to, we don't need to test your placement at that point because we would know that you are eligible to take that highest level of math course, and we would get you into the appropriate math course for your major when you sign up for classes, register for classes during your orientation program.
So yes, your ACT score of a 30 to 36, first of all, congratulations. That is really a phenomenal score. And you more than likely would not need to take a math placement because you're already at that higher level. So again, Barbie, congratulations. All right, here's another one from Tali or Tale. I apologize if I butcher your name, on YouTube. I scheduled an orientation for June 2nd and was curious how to access that and what time it will occur. Also, I was wondering if during the orientation, will we discuss choosing dorms and roommates? So let's start the first part of this. And Vincent, that sounds like a question for you. Schedule an orientation on June 2nd, was curious how to access that and what time it will occur. And then I'll give you the other part again.
Yeah, so there is, I will refer to our schedule on our website. There's a generalized schedule on that preparing page. So if you go again to ohio.edu/orientation and click on the prepare for your orientation, there's a section at the bottom with our schedules right now that has a general schedule of what the program will look like. In general, your first session is going to start I'm going to mess up the time here, but it's going to start in the morning. I want to say it starts at 9:30. If I'm referring, I think that's where we're going to be. The program will start in Microsoft Teams. So again, we would provide you with a personalized schedule and a link to join that meeting once you complete the online check-in process. The emails for those will go out later this week, possibly over the weekend, to make sure that you have that information by Monday. So you would fill out the check-in form and be ready to go for your program on Tuesday. And then the second part of that question, I think, was about...
The second part is wondering if during orientation, you'll discuss choosing dorms and roommates, so residence halls, spaces, and things like that.
Yeah, so there will be some opportunities to connect to our housing and residence life staff as part of the programs that happen in June. And in particular for our transfer orientation programs, anyone who's looking for, who has to live on campus, we'll be connecting with them to make sure that you have the information you need to actually sign up for your space in the residence halls. So there will be an opportunity to do that. And the housing residence life staff will be available to answer any questions about getting you into the right space.
Absolutely. And as a transfer student, especially welcome, because that day is a transfer day for us. And I want to reiterate that we will have opportunities. The residence halls, there are spaces reserved for transfer students. So to put students with other transfer students, just like during orientation, you're going to connect with other transfer students during that day. When you move into the residence halls, that's when you'll also have an opportunity to live with other transfer students. So you don't start out with other necessarily first-year students if you've already had that college experience. So welcome. Here's another one from Amanda on Facebook. Is there a core set of courses all students at OU are to take? I think that's a really good one. Kris, do you want to talk about that? This is really this is about our general education.
Yes, general education courses are courses in all areas, whether that be math, English, other areas within the liberal arts education that you're going to receive at Ohio University. Yes, all students do get to experience those because we're committed to every student being a critical thinker, well-versed in other areas, as well as being very comfortable within your field of study. So yes, there are what we call gen eds, or you'll hear the other language that we use at Ohio University are the tiers, T-I-E-R. Not like the tears, like crying tears. The tiers, the layers of that general education requirement, those are built into what you'll get to choose from in your learning communities. So learning communities are bundles of courses as well as an experience that you're going to get to participate in fall semester. It's only your first term. Over 98% of our students last year participated in a learning community. So it's definitely the thing to do. Your advisors will be saying, this is how you get your classes. This is how we're going to connect with you in the fall semester. And in those learning communities, you're going to be taking a collection of courses. Traditionally, it's about 3/4 to 2/3 of your schedule. So it's not, you're still going to have some choices, and that's really important to know. In those learning communities, we've bundled those clustered courses that also happen to be courses that are required or highly suggested from your faculty for your major, as well as also are fulfilling those general education requirements. So we've thought about everything that we know you need to take as a first semester student from an advising standpoint, what we know helps our students to be successful, and we've clustered those in what we call your LCOMs, which is a shorter version for your learning community. And some of you might have those on your schedule before you come to orientation. Great, you can talk about that particular LCOM or your learning community for your major. If you don't have a learning community before orientation, no problem. There's still plenty of learning communities available, and your advisor will be able to direct you in that personalized academic advising session that you have during BSO to help you select, and you'll be able to choose a learning community. We've made it super easy for you to add to that community. They're courses you need anyway, and they're courses that you're going to really enjoy getting to know others in your major, getting to meet faculty in your discipline, as well as being successful that first semester. So much so that some of our students even say they want a learning community in the spring. But in the spring, you need to do your other things, courses-wise, because you might be bringing in post-secondary credit or other kinds of things that we want you to continue to be successful, and that might look different in the spring.
Sara, do you want to say something about your general education course experiences and how you fit those into your major requirements?
Yeah, definitely. So there are 6 distribution areas of the Tier 2 general education requirements. And luckily for me, in my major, a lot of those classes are what we call double dippers. So within those groups, I was able to take classes that both fulfilled my interests and also my requirements for both general education and for my major. Some of my favorite classes that I took for that was I took a dinosaur class at one point. I never thought I would enjoy learning about dinosaurs as much, but I really, really did. I really enjoyed my fine arts requirement. I took Seeing and Knowing the Visual Arts, where I learned about art history, appreciating art history, things like that. That was really fun as well, but I still don't think anything will ever beat that dinosaur class. It was so fun. I don't really know much anymore about it because it was a while ago, but for a while I had some good dinosaur facts in my back pocket, but I really enjoyed it. I feel like I'm a more well-rounded individual because of it academically. I was able to challenge myself in some of my general education courses that then influenced some of my major courses as well. I've taken history of jazz, history of rock and roll. I took a history through film class, so I watched movies to learn about history through time, which was really cool and exciting. So yeah, there's a bunch of different opportunities to fulfill these requirements in really fun ways that satisfy those needs that you have.
Wonderful. And your advisors will help you out with that when you meet with them in your individualized appointment during orientation. So don't worry about knowing all of that ahead of time. Right. We'll help you out. Just know that it's that breadth of knowledge we want all of our Ohio University graduates to have. That's why everyone's required to take all of these core requirements in some way, shape, or form. Okay. From Shanna or Shana on Facebook, if you are undecided but have an idea of what program you want to pursue, can you get an advisor who is familiar with that program? And I think that's a good question for you, Kris, because you fulfilled this in part of your experience as an advisor.
Mm-hmm. So we do have, there's many students, depending on what college you're coming into, is undecided. A lot of our undecided students are in university college, and we've actually designed learning communities in university college, if that's where you're going, to help you explore your major through your learning community fall semester. So you're still taking courses, and that's the awesome thing about the tier system, that if you change your major, and many of our students do, because sometimes it takes just practicing and experiencing and diving into it, and it's okay to change your major. So those tier systems, remember that general education requirement's there for everybody. So Sara's dinosaur class, which I'm sure had a fancier, more academic name to it, still fulfilled her tier requirements that were there regardless of the academic major. So sometimes taking different tier 2s helps you explore different disciplines that maybe you've not had an opportunity to be exposed to. Your instructor, your advisor in our university college class, which is your learning community seminar, you're going to get to know your advisor. You're going to get to know your instructor, people who care about your success at Ohio University. And the best thing to do is when you're struggling with something, when you're excited about something, share that within your learning community seminar, whether it's an outside organization, whether it's a tier 2 class that you might be connected to. You will find many opportunities to be able to explore what interests you, and that interest might be your major. That interest might be an area that you're considering if you're undecided, or in a different college altogether, or even my recommendation as a former academic advisor is a minor, a certificate that you can add to your major, or some of our students might choose to double major. So there's lots of opportunities to find who you are and what you want to become and what you want to do and how you want to make a difference in the world after being at Ohio University, how your degree and your path, you'll find your path. And the learning community is one of many ways that you'll create and start to map that path out.
So we're getting several questions. Thank you. That's a great thorough answer to that. I want to also say we have a place on campus that is called the Allen Student Advising Center. And so first of all, as an undecided student, know that coming in, your advisors are trained to know many of the majors on campus. So they're going to be able to give you all that information. Don't worry about that. The other part is that even when you are a student at Ohio University, whether that be your first year or second year, you might be thinking, I don't know what I want to do with my major. The Allen Student Advising Center is another place so that you can explore all those different things. And that's where asking questions and letting us know that you need some help is always important. Okay, so this is from P. Tom on YouTube. I'm concerned concerned about closing the only dining hall on East Green. Does Jefferson Market provide enough variety of meal options? For example, not just soup. And Sara, I'm going to, and again, we have several questions, so we don't want to go too much in detail, but do you want to talk about the opportunities for the dining halls and maybe talk about that a little bit for the students?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll answer a little bit about Jefferson Market first, but before I talk about the rest of the dining halls. But Jefferson Market actually does offer a lot of other things. There's a deli where they make sandwiches, there's a salad bar, etc., smoothie, things like that. But you do not use your meal swipes there. You use your Flex Points or Bobcat Cash. But I just want to reassure everyone that the dining hall on South Green is actually very, very close to East Green. I know that personally because I lived on South Green, so I often went to the one that was on East Green for a while. So everything's in really close walking distance. Even the one on West Green is close as well. So whether they want to use their meal plan at Jefferson Market, that's fine. But they can also go to Nelson, the dining hall on South Green. It's really close.
Yeah, and you can go to any of those dining facilities. I want to make sure that's very clear. Those are open. You don't have to, if you're living in a certain space, you don't have to only go to those. Sometimes that's a question we get. So this is from Sydney on YouTube. How will we get our ID card? Vincent, can you answer that for us?
I can answer that. So right now, as part of that preparing for orientation, the plan for you to submit your ID photo, that is part of the steps you should take right now. You can submit a photo online to actually have that on your ID. The plan right now is to distribute those as we get closer to the fall semester, potentially through move-in. So when students actually move into campus in the fall, we would give them out there. Or as a mailer to your home if we need to mail it to you. There are some other options there, but the idea is that we're going to try and get it to you right at the beginning of the fall semester, so you don't necessarily need to worry about that right now, other than getting your picture submitted and making sure you go through that process, because it is an approval process, so someone actually has to approve your photo, and if it doesn't meet the standards, we do have to get you to resubmit. So it is something to start early. But right now, the biggest thing is just focusing on getting your picture in, and then we will get your ID card as we get closer to the fall semester.
Thank you. So from Tali on YouTube, are we going to receive an advisor during the orientation? And so I'm going to maybe, Kris, if you just want to talk about the person who works with them during orientation as maybe how that might differ from the fall.
You will absolutely have an opportunity to work with an academic advisor during orientation. And that person is the representative of that college, and it may or may not be the person who is your advisor in the fall semester, but you're in good hands during orientation.
So oftentimes our faculty on campus are also advisors, and those assignments don't happen until closer to the fall. So your Ohio Center, which you're going to learn about, you should learn it when those pre-modules that you're going to go through and some other things, it'll tell you how to find that. It'll have your official advisor if that person's been assigned. Again, sometimes they're not until right before the fall, but during the summertime at orientation, we will have an advisor for you. So this is from Sabrina on Facebook. Will transcripts from students taking College Credit Plus classes at OU branch colleges like OUZ automatically be available to OU, or do they need to be sent separately? And Vincent, this is a good question to talk about credit that they might have bringing with them.
Yeah, so if it's a course that you've completed through Ohio University, that class shows up on your record. You do not need to send us a transcript. So if you took that class at one of our regional campuses, that course is a part of the Ohio University course system, and it counts as a credit like any other OU course would. So that class does not need a transcript sent to us. However, if you took any classes for any other institution, we would need the official transcripts sent to us. And we know that sometimes while you're waiting on final grades to post, or as you're navigating getting an actual transcript test, there may be some delays in that. We ask that you start the process as early as possible, but it also would help to have an unofficial copy or access to what you had to provide some insight into an advisor, an advising appointment when you meet with your advisor. So it may just be to provide an overview of the types of classes you took to try to avoid those that you might get credit for. It's definitely not a posting of official credit, but we would want you to have an unofficial copy to answer some questions from your advisor there. I also do want to point out a lot of students who are coming from high school to college get confused about transcripts for College Credit Plus or dual enrollment courses. If you're taking a college course through your high school, but the course is offered through a university, we do need the official transcript from the university to post that college credit. Right? So even if those courses show up on your high school transcript, that doesn't post the official credit as a college course. We need the college course transcript from the university or college that you're taking the course from. So it's important to make sure that you're sending those as well as your high school transcripts, getting that information to us.
So, and the one thing I want to say about that, remember, when you send it to us, what that means is sending it to admissions. And so, and that should be very clearly outlined in your admissions information. Any course credit, the more we have before you get here to orientation scheduling time, the more you're going to be really more confident in your course you're choosing. But if you can't get the credit at that date or by that date, we'll still work with you anticipating some of that credit because you know what you've taken, which is why having those copies is really helpful. Okay, and it goes back to what Kris was saying earlier about being prepared for that advising appointment. Okay, so this one looks like it's from a parent, which I'm excited to have some parents listening in to what's going on. This is from Danielle on Facebook. I attended orientation 4 years ago with daughter. How different will this year be with our son? So I want to say welcome parents to all the parents who are listening. I know we've been speaking directly to students because that's our usual audience and that's who we want to focus our conversation with. But we know parents are listening and being a part of this. So we're so glad you're here too. Please ask questions just like your students. Vincent wasn't here 4 years ago. I can tell you that you probably saw me at orientation 4 years ago because I've been here that long and have been participating. And I was one of those people who had you use a device and students answer questions and we had fun. It is different. And I think it would be naive of us to say that it's going to be the exact same experience. But as a parent, and I am one, and my daughter finished her college career, some of the things that we're doing this year in this virtual environment, we should have been doing 4 years ago, 10 years ago here at Ohio University. We didn't do a lot of pre-orientation work, and we should have. We're doing that now. We get better. We learn. We know. So we're learning that, and we're getting better at it. And that was something that Vincent started when he started with us. So that is going to be different, and I think to the better. Students should be, through these pre-orientation modules, more prepared. And I think that's going to be a very important thing to think about. You won't be sitting next to someone who you met at orientation, another parent. That's different. But I'm going to let Vincent, I just want to say that as kind of an overall because I was there. There are some wonderful things that we do when you're in person, but I'm so excited to hear and see some of the changes that we're making being in a virtual environment. So Vincent, you want to maybe highlight some of those changes to someone who has been through this as a parent and now is experiencing this differently?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad we have this question because I do want to point out that we do still want family members and guests to be participating in orientation as a part of this virtual experience because we know that you're a crucial element to the support system that a new student has coming in. And so I'm really glad that you're kind of listening in now and hopeful that you're going to be part of that orientation experience and understanding that. There are going to be some sessions throughout the actual day of your original orientation program specifically for family members and guests to participate in. So there are some opportunities for you to connect with our college partners, the academic partners, to learn more about the course requirements for your student and what that experience will be like as a student in those majors. There will be some opportunities to work with our student staff. So Sara mentioned that she's one of our coordinators for student programs. We also have a coordinator for family programs on our student staff and a team of orientation leaders who work with our family and guest programs primarily, and they will be available to kind of answer questions. One of the sessions that's actually new this year is called What I Wish My Family Knew, which is our orientation leaders providing stories about things that they wish their family understood about their experience as a college student, which we're really excited about adding that in. We're also going to have some family and guest discussions, which will really serve as discussion sessions for you to connect with other people and ask the questions you really want to ask And again, this is something we were adding into our program anyway this year, where we wanted to provide a space for family members and guests to connect to each other. So this person in particular, who is already a Bobcat family member, right? You already have a student who has been here. We want other parents to get to know you, right? So we want to have a session where you can kind of connect to people and they can understand what it's been like for you as a parent here. So that's kind of what we plan to do as part of those family and guest sessions, is really hoping that you can connect with other people in the space, ask the questions you really want to ask, but from different perspectives. So whether that be a campus partner or our orientation staff as a student, or the academic assistant dean or academic advisors who are part of those sessions for your students. So there are a lot of elements that family members and guests will be able to participate in as part of the virtual experience. So I think that's the biggest difference, is that it will be virtual, but there's still a lot of elements in there that would be a little bit different than your experience probably 4 years ago.
I think one big difference will be you're not going to be walking up and down hills. So for some parents, they're going to be very excited about that. But I also want to say that parent programs we don't require you to go to them. And so there are lots of things you can drop in and out of, and you're going to get a schedule that's going to give you all those options as a parent or a guest or a family member, and you can choose the ones that fit your needs. We also want to acknowledge that in your home, you may have one computer that you need to share. So there are going to be times for you as a parent to participate by listening in on what's going on with your student, and that did not happen in person. We often get some feedback that parents really want that. So I'm just going to put out there, parents, acknowledge that students need to participate. You might listen, but please let them do that, because that's their role. And as parents, we tend to want to help them, and it may be a little harder to separate at that time. But I think, again, let them do that, but you'll be able to listen. If your son or daughter or child wants you to be there with them, you can be there. And that's something that is a little different too. So they'll be able to bop in and out of some different things and have fun. And that was an official word, bop, just so y'all can translate that. Okay. So this is another parent, it looks like, which is, this is really exciting for me as a parent to hear from you. From Ellie on Facebook: if I have a son who works all day on Friday when he's in orientation, will he need to take that day off work? And I think that's probably a good Vincent question, because you're working more on a schedule.
Yeah, so you should still be planning to take the time off that you would have on what would have been, for first year students, day one of your program. There are some optional elements on what would have been day two of your program, but day one is where we have focused all the required elements. So for those of you who are coming in as first year students, the program would have been a 2-day experience, about a day and a half. And we still want to provide some elements that are available to you on what would have been the second day, but all of the required components are now on what would be day one of your session. So if you are looking at whether or not I need to take time off of work, you really could be looking at just taking that 1 day off for what would have been day one. But yes, all students are required to participate in sessions throughout the day. So one of my goals is to not have students sitting at a computer for very long periods of time doing this, because we do that day in and day out at work, and we know that it's not the most conducive way to manage this. But we do still want to provide the opportunity for students to engage in a lot of different sessions. So on that, what would be your first day, and if you're a transfer student on your 1-day program, we do have sessions that go all throughout the day. We have a lot of social opportunities in the evening that are actually, I think the time is 7 to 9, somewhere in that time frame. So there's actually sessions from when we start the first welcome session at 9:30 all the way throughout that day. And the required components are only a couple of elements in there spread out throughout the day, but there's a lot of optional things that students may want to participate in as well. So you do want to plan to have that full day available to participate in orientation.
Okay, thank you. So this is from Teresa on Facebook. My son is transferring in as a junior. When will an advisor be assigned to him? I'm trying to think who that might be a good question for you, Kris, in terms of if their son's a junior, when will an advisor be assigned to that student?
Well, it depends on the it depends on the academic college, but that would be an excellent question. I would make sure that he could ask during the advising session. It very well could be the person that they're meeting with. But if that is a concern, especially make a note and make sure to ask. The Student Center, I can tell you from looking at, you're going to get to students, you'll get the Student Center. And the good thing is it's new for all of us. So we're all going to be working together and helping you through that. In your Student Center, you can check it anytime. And when an advisor is officially assigned, there will be a section in the Student Center off to the right in a blue box where it lists that person. You can click on their name once it's populated, and it'll include their contact information. You can send out an email. You can introduce yourself to your advisor. But you will be assigned one. It's just there's not a particular day, because every college it does work differently. But it's an important relationship for every student to establish and get to know, because your advisor is going to be one of your success advocates. They're going to be able to help you. They're going to be, even if they don't know the answer to your question, at Ohio University, we will help you, connect you to the right resources and make sure that your questions get answered, and your advisor will also do that.
Something that's really exciting with our transfer students is you're coming with experience at another institution. And that is really cool. It's really neat. It's very exciting that you have that. You're going to find the transition here at Ohio University, it should be very similar to what you had at your other institution, but sometimes we call things different names. Sometimes an office is identified in one way at one place and identified another way here. So part of what we want you to do is just to come in and make sure you ask those questions, because you're going to be your best advocate. You know what you know. And you know what you're bringing. So make sure you let us know and let us help you in that way. And advisors are the same sort of thing. When you come in with these credits and you say, hey, I'm going to be this major, well, there might be all kinds of advisors who are advising for that major. And maybe there's one that has this little bit of experience that's going to match you just best. And so really talking during orientation to the person who's going to help you, the advisor who helps you in that day program as a transfer student, they're going to be a good resource. So just ask that question even. That's a great question to start out your conversation. So this is from Julie on Facebook. When will the Bobcat Depot open? It seems like waiting until they arrive on campus will be difficult to get the computer students need. So I just got an email about this too. Sara, you look like you're nodding. Do you know what the hours of the Bobcat Depot right now?
I don't know the hours, but I can add on something else.
Okay. Vincent, you want to talk about the hours that they're open or available, and then we'll let Sara jump in. It was in that. Okay, I can tell you. I'm not going to put people on the spot. I want you to. Okay. So during the month of June, the Bobcat Depot is open from 8 a.m. to noon every day. And they have online, and we'll share these resources with you during orientation. I don't have the email right in front of me to know, but you can go, or you can just look up Bobcat Depot online. They have all the requirements for the course, for the computers that are needed for your specific major. So for example, someone in a design program is going to use a different machine or may need a different machine than someone in computer science. And so they're going to give you those guidelines. You don't have to buy it at Ohio University, but you can order those. And Bobcat Depot, again, from 8 a.m. until noon, are going to have people to answer questions and available for your resources if you need them. So Sara, what were you going to add about that?
So you kind of touched on that already, but I just want to stress that you don't have to buy your computer at Bobcat Depot. They do have really great resources for you to identify what's recommended for your major, like Wendy said, but you can read through that and then get your computer if you're choosing to get one for yourself somewhere else. But that doesn't mean that you can't utilize Bobcat Depot's resources for you during the school year either. So if your laptop has a technical issue, your keyboard's frozen, your mouse pad's not working, your screen's broken, anything, even your cell phone. If your cell phone's broken, you can bring it to Bobcat Depot, whether or not you bought it there or not. It's still a resource for you as a student, no matter where you got your technology.
They are a certified repair area for Apple products and some other computers too, but you can see that online. But yes, you do need to know that. Plus, they have some really great deals for students, especially downloading some software that you might need. The other thing is our campus, in Athens campus, is wireless, the majority of the campus. So, or actually all of it should be. There might be a little corner somewhere that's not as strong as someplace else. But so sometimes students need a little bit of assistance with that. They're great at helping any technology questions. Okay, so it looks like that was our last question. And so we have a couple things we want to make sure in our few minutes left of our time. And I think there are two questions I want to make sure that we didn't answer, but I think are good ones. The first one is, what if I want to change my major? And this is really important. It's going to be in that pre-module a little bit about that. But I do think it's worth saying something because we want you to think about this before you get here. So Vincent, what if a student wants to change their major?
So I would recommend that any student who's considering changing their major, that you do that early. So we have talked about how it's definitely acceptable for you to come in undecided and still having some questions. And I do want to reiterate that you can do that. There are a couple of colleges that accept undecided majors and then help you from there. But then also generally, if you're truly undecided and don't know and you're ultimate plan could be in any one of our colleges for undergraduate students, then you might start with us in University College. So there's a couple of different options for that. But if you're considering changing your major and you know it's time for me to change it, when I applied back in the fall semester, I was thinking one thing and now life has changed and I want to do something different. I would encourage you to go through the process now. That process happens with our undergraduate admissions office, so you would want to connect with them. The information is available on our preparation webpage and also on the admissions website. So in a couple places for you to find out what's the process to change your major. And we do want to recommend that you do that at least a week before your orientation program. So as we're building this, this virtual session that we will do in June, the way it's going to be designed is that you will be meeting either as an individual or in small groups with an academic advisor to actually finish registering for classes and those elements. But you're going to receive a personalized schedule based on who you need to meet with. So it's really important that you change your major ahead of time so that we get you connected to the right advisor, right? If you were to start to think about changing your major on the day of a program, we will still work with you to get you in with an advisor and connect you for course registration. But because we've already pre-assigned some of those appointments, it will just take us a little bit longer to get that taken care of. But we recommend doing that earlier. Again, we will support you on the day of. If you go through an academic session and you're like, you know, I thought this was the major for me and it's not, we will work with you and work with our advisors to try and set up an appointment either later in the day or to connect with some of our orientation staff, but we will work with you to get that major updated as quickly as possible and then get you into an appropriate schedule for fall. So that's definitely our ultimate goal, is that when you finish that 1 day of orientation, day one, that you leave with a complete orientation schedule, course schedule for the fall.
So some of the things, and I want the panelists, because we did ask our last question, and I'm going to say a few things, but the panelists, if you'll think about, and I'm going to come to you, what is last words of wisdom. So I'll give you a couple seconds to think about what you might suggest to the people who are listening and who are interested in learning more about what we're talking. But I want to say something about orientation itself as designed for our new students. So if you are a graduating senior from high school, even if you've taken post-secondary option courses, even if you've taken some courses at our OU regional campuses, if you graduated this spring, then you're considered a new student and you're required to go through orientation, just as our transfer students are also required to go through orientation. It is really important because we cover a lot of information from you. However, if you're a student who has been out for a year and has been at one of our regional campuses, you went through orientation at that regional campus. If you're one of those students, then reach out to our orientation office. Really what we need to do is connect you to your advisor. And you won't have to go, and you don't go through a full orientation. So it is a little different. We can do that virtually. You can get you connected to your academic advisor. So send us an email to the BSO, Bobcat Student Orientation email, and we'll make sure that we get you there. Okay, so I have a couple of minutes. So just on a quick off the head, I gave you a few minutes to think about it. So let's start with you, Sara. Sara, what are some words of wisdom you would tell our incoming students?
Okay, so I think it's always important to identify that it's okay to be lost and confused just with anything, whether it's academics, campus, being online, working Blackboard, things like that. In any sense, any confusion, it's totally okay to be confused because chances are someone else is confused. Like, for example, my first year, I had no idea what my ID was for. I didn't know that I had to swipe into my residence hall building. I was tried to unlock the door with my key. Didn't work. It didn't fit. It was really embarrassing. It was okay, though. I recovered. I didn't know I had to use it in the dining hall. So things like that, like, don't feel bad for being confused and not knowing things yet. It's all going to come naturally. Just make sure that you're enjoying that experience.
Great. Vincent, what are some words of wisdom you would have for others?
Yeah, so I think it goes back to kind of that orientation as an experience and process philosophy. So you will get out of orientation what you put into it. So it's really important that you come prepared on the day of your program, ready to engage in all of the sessions that we have that really spark an interest for you, that you come prepared to talk to your advisor about class options for the fall, that you come prepared to meet people. Even though it's in a virtual setting, we still want you to meet other people, right? I mentioned in my opening that the people and the welcoming environment of the Athens campus at Ohio University is one of my favorite parts here. And we can still do that virtually. And we want you to engage with us in that way. So that's going to require you to come prepared to have conversations, get to know people, and really dive into the orientation experience. The programs that we create are designed to help you in the transition as a new student. So take advantage of that and use them for as much as we can provide. I know sometimes the biggest question that new students have in coming to orientation is, why do I have to participate in this? And I speak specifically to our transfer students coming in. As a former transfer student and transfer advocate, like, you're a population that I really try to support in a lot of ways. One of the things that I challenge you with, and I would also challenge new students with, is the understanding that our programs are designed to help you. And if you kind of open yourself up to that process of learning, you will get something out of it. Even if there are elements of the program that you're like, I probably knew this already, or I read that one online modules and I fully understood it. I went through those pre-orientation modules 6 times and I know everything. You're still going to learn something when you come through the orientation program in June. And if we think about this as a process that continues into your fall semester, it's going to continue with the post-orientation experience, what we provide for you in terms of content for you to explore after the experience in June, but then leading into our fall semester when we welcome you back to campus as part of our Welcome Week programming, and then into, for many of you, into that learning community experience in the fall semester. So just dive into the process, and really, you'll get out of orientation what you put into it.
Thank you. Kris, a quick word of wisdom for our students?
My quick word is, be proud of what you've accomplished to get to this point. Attending Bobcat Student Orientation is an important milestone. It may not be what we have envisioned a year ago, but it's still worthy of you being proud of what you've accomplished and what's in your future. Talk with your family, your friends, with the experience, just like Vincent was sharing, like if you were sitting in a seat next to someone, this is an important event. You've accomplished a significant amount to get to this moment, and we want to welcome you as a Bobcat, enjoy the journey, and be proud.
So we have been spending some time with you for this afternoon, and we appreciate the fact that you tuned in to listen, but we also appreciate that your questions were great ones. You really did. You had great questions. So keep asking them, because that's important. So we are going to continue to answer your questions on YouTube, or whether you've any questions you posted to Facebook or YouTube in the comments, even after our live stream ends. So please feel free to continue doing that. We'll do our best to do that, to answer them. And you're going to see you find all of the videos in this series at ohio.edu/bobcats-chats. So that's ohio.edu/BOBCAT-CHATS. So ohio.edu/Bobcat Chats with a hyphen in there. So please do that, and know that if you follow us, please follow us on all these different places. Follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There are so many things out there I don't even know how they use, but follow us on all of them, because we're going to have a lot of stuff going on, and we want you to be a part of it. Ohio University is an amazing institution. We have been here since 1804. So we have been present as an institution for over 200 years. That is a long time. There are many of us who have been at this institution longer than some, but there are a lot who have been here longer than I have, or there are alums all over the world. Ohio University is a proud Bobcat family. We provide that, and you'll learn that. There is no other institution I know of where people have the same connection when it comes to meeting one another. When you meet another Bobcat, you know. You just know there's a connection there. And it's really cool. Anywhere I go and I see people who are from Ohio University, or if I'm wearing any Ohio University gown, like hat, shirt, whatever, I will have people come and talk to me about their experience they had, or their experience their family member had, and it could have been a great grandparent who went to Ohio University. This is a really cool place. We look forward to having you as a part of not only our student body, and you're going to learn that about orientation, but when you do come to campus, look us up and ask those questions. And I'm going to put this out there, and it's up to you to find me. But if you come and find me, and again, my name is Wendy Merb-Brown, it's MERBW at ohio.edu. You come and find me, I will take you to lunch because I want to meet you. And this is important. You have to take the opportunity to do that. I'm not going to find you. I don't know your names. I can't see you. You can see me. Anyway, we are excited to have you at Ohio University. Please take advantage of all this institution has to offer, and you're going to have a great, great time, and you're going to be successful. We know that. So thank you, and have a wonderful day.